Sup, Mr. Lee here. So today we're gonna look at more vocabulary for the functions unit. Um, Best way to know I know how to do it is to kind of just go through your Khan Academy exercises and give you some examples. Okay, so here's the scope of all the new words we're gonna look at today. Okay, so relative maxima and minima, absolute maxima and minima, positive negative intervals, and increasing decreasing intervals. Okay, so I'm gonna go through this pretty fast, but you guys have the ability to pause, rewind the video if needed. Okay, so relative maxima and minima. So minimum points, maximum points, you're looking at your y values. Okay, so relative just means you could have multiple max points, multiple high points in each specific area. Okay, so right now, if I look at the graph, I'm going to go all the way from left to right. This is your highest point. This one actually only has one. Okay, so that is a max point, highest y value. Minimum, we want a low y value. Let's actually do a couple more here. These are kind of simple. Okay, so that's low, that's high, maximum, minimum. And then let's see. So this one will have multiple, right? So in this area, this is actually the highest point. Okay, so I know that you have a bunch of higher points here, but if you're just looking in their respective areas, right? These are the relative maximum points. That's what we call them. Okay, so that's what relative is. You're gonna have multiple, or you can have multiple. Absolute means there's only one in the entire graph. Okay, so what is the highest point out of all the points on the graph? Well, it's going to be this one, right? This would be a relative max, but then since we want the absolute max, there's only one specific absolute maximum. Okay, that's a difference. Let's look at an absolute minimum. Okay, so let's see, this goes up, this goes down. Looks like we're only going to have one absolute minimum point. Okay. So that's absolute. Maximum, minima. Let's look at positive and negative intervals now. So again, you're looking at your y value. You can think of your output value. Where do you have positive y values? Where do you have negative y values? So that's just above and below the x-axis, right? Focus on your y coordinate. We have some fancy language here, but select interval where g of x is less than 0. That just translates to where are your y values negative, right? Less than 0 meaning negative. So you have negative y values here, and you have negative y values here. Okay, read the y value. So let's figure out which domain makes that up. So between 0 and 1, this is how you read it. Okay, here are my x values of 0 to 1. My graph clearly has some positive y values. So we don't want that one. We're looking for negatives. Between 2 and 3, x is 2, x is 3 here. So look at my graph. Here we have some negative y values. So we definitely want that one. Okay. And you guys can check the other wrong answers, but this one just says choose one correct answer. Let's do one more. Okay, so this is where we want g of x greater than 0. So translate that to where your output values, where your y values, positive, right? So it's either going to be here to here or here all the way to there. Okay. So let's look at our intervals. -2 to -1. Between -2 and -1, we have negative y values. That's not what we want. Between -1 and 0, same thing, right? Still negative y values, right? Just focus on the y coordinate. So it must be 0 to 1, but let's just check it. Right, between 0 and 1, yep, it goes above the x-axis now. Right, you guys see those points? Those are all positive y values. So bingo. Okay. And last, increasing, decreasing. America, you have to read these graphs from left to right. Okay, so it's a convention. We have to read it from left to right, otherwise you can have multiple answers. We only want one set answer. So if you read this from left to right, we're saying, oh, it's going down, it's decreasing, and then it starts increasing again, and then the function starts decreasing. Okay, so read it from left to right, and we're going to practice looking at these intervals. So let's see. I'm running out of time here, so I'll just show one example. Between -4 and -3, that's going to be here. This is decreasing. Okay, what do we want to look for actually? We want decreasing. Yeah, so select all that apply. There's one. Between -2 and 0, it's increasing left to right. Between 0 and 2, it's still increasing. So this is going to be our final answer.